Throughout my research, I have observed students in both the special education classroom and a 5th grade general education classroom, with a specific focus on students who are in out-of-home placements such as residential facilities, foster care, and group homes. I decided to focus my research on students in foster care and the invisible achievement gap that is present. My goal for the observations and research were to find similarities and differences between the teaching strategies used in each classroom and compare them to the students' academic and behavioral achievements, as well as strategies that can be implemented when working with students who are in a foster care setting to hopefully bridge their gap to success. SS Elementary is one of 6 Title I schools located in Rhode Island. The majority of students at SS Elementary come from low-income families, and 56% of the students receive free or reduced lunch. The school itself consists of approximately 300 students who range from kindergarten through 5th grade. Of the 300 students who attend, 60% of the students are Caucasian, 15% are African American, 6% are Hispanic, 7% are Asian, and 12% are considered multiracial. Also, of the 300 students, 13% of these students are students who receive special education services or are in a self-contained classroom. In total, there are 26 students that are currently in out-of-home placements, 9 of which are living in a residential facility that is part of Bradley Hospital. SS Elementary uses a multi-tiered system of supports, which include both RTI and PBIS. The special education classroom that I observed is part of a brain-based intervention therapeutic program implemented for students with social-emotional disorders, oppositional defiant disorder, severe ADD and ADHD, attachment disorders, and low and high-functioning ASD. The classroom has 7 students with IEPs and specific educational and behavioral goals for each student. Currently, in the 3rd to 5th grade special education classroom, 5 out of the 7 students are in out-of-home placements, with 4 of them being at the residential facility at Bradley Hospital. The classroom is supported by the brain-based model, which uses credits for recognition for following routines, participating during centers and instructional periods, showing kindness towards peers, and practicing safe behaviors. Credits are earned for choice activities and incentives throughout their day. The credit system works concurrently with the Green Zone, which allows for continuous feedback, where students have the opportunity to improve their behaviors and make better choices by moving up and down throughout the different colored zones with the goal of staying in green. A large part of the brain-based model is encouraging students to utilize restorative breaks to reset their minds to a more positive outlook when they are feeling upset, angry, discouraged, overwhelmed, or any feeling that takes their focus from the task at hand. There's a room connected to the classroom that offers them an area to escape and take a break when needed. Each student has their own folder with specific activities that are individualized to fit their needs. The classroom walls are filled with visual routines, a daily schedule, inspirational posters, and examples of students' work. The desks are arranged in a horseshoe facing the smartboard, with tables for centers scattered around. There are options for flexible seating, fidgets, and noise-canceling headphones. The classroom had a library with books of all different levels and genres and were labeled accordingly. There was a technology center with a classroom iPad, a Chromebook for each student, and 2 desktop computers. Each student participated in the same lessons, however, content and assessments were modified to fit their needs. The teacher and staff incorporated many UDL strategies, differentiated instruction, and culturally relevant teaching strategies. The staff used consistent language throughout the day and were always on the same page. They offered feedback in the form of positive reinforcement and hardly used the word no. It was always, not right now, but if you complete X, Y, and Z, then we can revisit that question later. The students knew their expectations and often read aloud their routines before beginning the next activity. The visual schedule was in clear view and referenced throughout the day. There was a specific snack time listed on the schedule. However, they were free to grab a snack or juice whenever they felt hungry. The teacher also kept the cabinet near their backpack stocked with deodorant, toothbrushes and toothpaste, clean clothes, and a few brushes and combs if students came to school without the proper hygiene. Upon entering the general education 5th grade classroom, the first thing that was noticed was the majority of the desks were in small clusters of 2 or 3, but the far wall by the windows had a row of single desks. The classroom was bare and dull, with very little posters hung on the walls. The lessons and assignments in the general education classroom weren't differentiated to support the students' needs in any way. Whatever was expected of one student was expected from the entire class. The classroom didn't offer many UDL strategies or culturally responsive teaching. There weren't multiple ways of delivering content, the expectations weren't made clear for all students, and there weren't visuals for students to reference as needed. However, most of the students were engaged through whole group lessons, small group activities, and independent assignments. During my observation, I noticed that during the lessons, small group activities, independent assignments, and one-on-one check-ins with the teacher, one particular student never participated, never completed his work, and the teacher consistently ignored him and didn't attempt to engage him. After the observations, I asked her a few questions about him, and she informed me that he's a foster student and he had only been here for a month. She did not have any information on him, where he was academically, if he had any IEP goals, etc. Throughout the observations, it was noticed that she never tried to include him, talk to him, or find out anything about him. It almost seemed like he was a burden to her. As of September 2017, the number of students in foster care in the United States was 437,465, which means, according to the initiative set forth by DCYF, only 39% of students, which is only 153,113, will graduate high school, and 10% of those students go on to college. 40% of students in foster care receive special education services or are placed in a special education classroom. Not only are these students being inaccurately and disproportionately placed due to the factors of being in foster care alone, but they have a less chance of success. There are many contributing factors to the low percentage of academic achievement, including frequent change of schools, instability, social stigma of being in foster care, having a disability and not receiving the proper services, lack of communication between caseworkers and agencies and educators, as well as lack of support from caregivers, social workers, and teachers. While there are efforts in place to close the achievement gap that is still separating our students, there's still so much that needs to be accomplished. Over the years, states and federal government have increased their efforts, implemented laws, initiatives, and acts that help prevent children in foster care from being left behind and improve their educational outcomes. However, there isn't enough accountability. The laws put in place are commendable and are hope for the future of children in foster care. However, they do not mean anything until there is accountability and assurance these laws are being implemented in schools. Until there is accountability, there are many strategies that can be implemented in the classroom to promote academic achievement for students in foster care. Maslow came up with a theory to understand what motivates people. He believed people are motivated to achieve their needs by fulfilling their most basic or physiological needs, such as food, water, and sleep. Once those needs have been met, a person is then motivated to fulfill their safety needs, such as shelter and stability. From there, a person is motivated to meet their social needs, love, friendship, and trust, their esteem needs, success and mastery, and self-actualization, which is fulfillment. Maslow's research shows that needs are met on a hierarchy, and students are able to move forward if they are in survival mode or looking to meet their physiological and safety needs. For most children in foster care, they were moved because their most basic needs were not being met. The lower the needs in the hierarchy, the more fundamental they are, and the more a person will tend to abandon the higher needs in order to achieve student survival. In order to ensure your students' educational needs are being met, first make sure their physiological and safety needs are being met. Ask your students each day if they've eaten, slept, bathed, and took care of their hygiene. One of the most important things an educator can do with a student in foster care is build their trust and form a positive relationship. Positive relationships with teachers give foster care students a sense of belonging and connectedness to a school, especially if those students who are moving from school to school due to placements into new foster homes. It is important to get to know the student, what their interests are, learn about their culture, and what experience they have had. Listen to the student, show them you care, and foster the positive relationship. Another way to better understand the foster care students is by figuring out why they may be exhibiting certain behaviors, such as demanding attention, whether positive or negative, being rude and disruptive in the classroom, failing to complete assignments, and being non-compliant. There is a reason for every behavior. Some build walls to keep people out, some are seeking affection, and some see it as survival. It is important to be prepared for the emotional challenges the child may face in your classroom and be mindful of their situation and the challenges they face each day. Educators can plan ahead for unexpected students entering their classroom during the school year. They can keep extra copies of flyers that were sent home from the school, a copy of the class syllabus, routines, class schedule, and important documents that are typically filled out in the beginning of the year. Educators can welcome new students by going over the schedule, routines, expectations, and introducing them to other teachers and staff in the building. They can encourage other students to introduce themselves, form classroom buddies, and have them show the new student around the classroom and school. When a new student starts, take inventory of what they came in with and replace things they might not have, such as pencils, notebooks, or a backpack. When moving around throughout the system, they often only travel with a small bag of belongings. Educators do not often have the background information they might need right away. In most cases, the background information takes longer to be sent over due to confidentiality concerns, miscommunication, and inaccurate beliefs. Within the first couple weeks of school, once some trust has been built and a relationship formed, informal and formal assessments should be given to measure where they are academically, and intervention should be in place to prevent the student from falling further behind. The use of RTI in the classroom can give the students the supports and interventions they need to bring them up to or closer to grade level. There is a large chance a student may have learning disabilities or behind academically due to the instability and multiple displacements, so strategies should be implemented, such as UDL, differentiated instruction, and accommodations to support the student. In addition, foster children struggle with many personal and emotional issues while in the foster home, and homework is often not the main objective. Teachers should assign homework with this in mind, being sensitive to their issues such as court dates and home visits. Lastly, it is important as an educator to advocate for students in foster care. They may not have the support they need, or the support that they do have might not know all of the educational laws that will benefit them. The student may never had an adult in the corner or someone looking out for them. Being the one to fight for them or advocate for them for their needs could be a lasting impression. Be their cheerleader, encourage them for each accomplishment, academically or behaviorally, big or small. All it takes is one educator to make a tremendous difference in the life of a student in foster care. One thing I always tell myself when working with students in foster care is that you are a constant in their lives. Sometimes they're only constant, and as long as they are in your care, it is your job to do everything possible to help them grow as a person and as a student.